Welcome to the Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our community.
All right, how's everybody doing? And welcome to the Firehouse radio show on WRHU 88.7. I am your host, Chris Moses, and today, sitting with me in the Firehouse is none other than Willie Geddish. Did I say it right?
You got it.
Geddish. There we go. Carle Place, right?
Yep, Carle Place.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I read your bio. I know a little bit about you, but for this show, I'd like you to introduce yourself to the listeners. So if you could tell them what department you're from, how long you've been in, what ranks you've held.
Okay, so I'm Willie Geddish. I'm currently the assistant chief, the second assistant chief at the Carle Place Fire Department.
Now, is that the baby chief?
That is the baby chief.
Okay, that's the baby chief.
I didn't want to, baby chief. So I'm the baby chief.
You know I was going to have to bring that up.
No, that's fine. So I'm the baby chief. I joined the department in 2002.
Okay.
I was previously a junior for 4 years. You could join in Carle Place at 14.
Okay.
So I was a junior from 14 to 18, joined the department at 18. I did a stint as lieutenant for a couple years, and they asked me to leave because I was in law school and working in the city, and it got tough.
Yep.
Somebody left office, came back in, and I've run through the ranks now since. We are a department that runs as a department, so we don't have companies, kind of like McAvoy in Southampton. So I was second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, now baby chief.
Okay. All right. So there's no companies. There's just one department. When you come in, you're pretty much learning everything.
You got to learn everything.
Like you said that. All right. So how many years was it?
So now it's 21 and change.
21 and change. So I know you got some stories, and we're going to talk about those stories.
Sounds good.
We're going to get those going. But you said junior. So a lot of places don't have juniors. So that's great that you have. So how long has your junior department been running?
So I was part of the first junior class. So they started it back, I want to say, in like 98, 99, around that time. And we had a group of dads who had kids that were of age to be in the junior program. They thought it was a great way to get them involved early. I benefited from that.
Yeah.
I'm a first-generation firefighter. My dad wasn't a member. We just grew up across the street. So as a kid, I always hung out at the firehouse. I mean, my dad knew the guys there, but was not a member. So I benefited from the junior program and got involved. And, you know, it's like everybody else says, once you do it once, you're hooked, and you just want to spend all your time down there.
And for our listeners, that's exactly how it goes. Once you're in, and we were talking about this right before we started recording, once you're in or you get exposed to it, that's it. You're hooked into this, and it literally becomes a part of your life.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think it goes one of two ways. There's no middle ground in the fire department. There's not people, I think, that say, it's okay, I'll go down there every now and then. You have people that come and say, hey, this isn't for me, and that's okay, I think. And I think the vast majority of people come down and say, this is the best rush that I could get. I want to be down here. I like hanging out with the guys. I want to help in the community. And I think that, you know, once people get a taste of it, it's hard to not come down and be there.
You're stuck. You're here. You are here with us. Good, bad, and the ugly. Yeah. You are here with us. All right. So you said you started at 14.
Yep.
Right? So 14. So you were saying that you grew up across the street from the firehouse.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've ever really had anyone that done that on the show. So how is that? I can imagine the alarms, people coming out. Yeah, at 14, it's probably great. Or as a kid, I can imagine what your parents felt.
I mean, like the firehouse was there before my parents got there. You know, that's I think why they accepted it, and they know. But it was, as a kid, it was really cool. Like when they would do their trainings and stuff, and they would be out in the back parking lot, I would walk across the street and hang out with the guys. As a kid, my dad took me to a lot of the drills. So when they would come back after doing well at a drill, or they would go around town with the trophies on the truck, they would take me on the truck with them. Stuff that you can't do now. Like I would never, as a chief, I would never allow something like that to happen. But as a kid, it was really cool, and the guys accepted me, and you know, were showing me things so that when I was old enough to get involved, I was there.
Yeah. So they almost like shaped you into this, right?
Yeah.
From being right across the street. I think that's a great story, because seeing that every day and now joining. So now where you grew up, did you grow up in Carle Place?
Yeah, so we grew up in Carle Place, like directly across.
So you
I joined Carle Place,
right there. Oh, so that's even like the complete all the way around. I love that.
So then when my wife and I started looking for houses, it sounds silly, but I was like, I want to stay in Carle Place because I have this connection to the fire department. And we looked in a lot of different places, and I would always find a reason to say, not this, not this, not this. And we ended up back in Carle Place. And
I think that's a great point to touch on for all our listeners that are firefighters and that haven't bought homes and things like that. I did the same thing. I'm looking for the homes, and my wife is like, wait, we can go out east, all the way out east. Look how much land we can get. And I'm just like, I need to stay close to Uniondale. Like, this is where I am. And I ended up buying my house closer so I can be still a part of it. But it shows how much the volunteer services shapes you and becomes a part of your life. I literally bought my house where I bought it, just like you, because I wanted to stay where I was.
Look, I mean, I think Carle Place it's a small community. We're a square mile, but I think that a lot of people that live there stay, or kids that I grew up with stay. My reason to stay was partially the fire. I mean, it's a good place to live, and it's a good school district. But like, always in the back of my head was, like, this is where I want to be. I want to stay. I want to stay part of this. Like, I don't think I would want to join. I don't know if I join another department and have to go through the process again.
That's right.
But thankfully, I don't even have to have the conversation. So
so you're there.
We're doing it.
What makes you all right? So 14 to 18, you're in the juniors. You're hooked. You love it. Even though I know that, this kind of shaped you and you learned, what made you really stay, right? Because now at 18, things are different from when you were 14, right? Seeing that you're now 4 years seeing the fire rig, seeing all of that stuff, what makes you say, you know what, I still want to stay here and stay to where you are now and go to chief? Because there's even people that will come in and they stay as, a black shield, just a firefighter. They don't never go any higher than that. What makes you say, you know what, I want to stay here and I want to rise to ranks?
One thing that was really helpful was that Carle Place allowed me to go away to school. So I went away to college in Connecticut. And they allowed me to take educational leave. So it allowed me to be gone for the semester. And then when I came back either for breaks or for the summer, I was able to get back right on the truck. Okay. I think for me, I was always civic minded, I think. I was involved in the church as a younger kid, and I helped do things there. And I think for me, I always wanted to be part of the community. And I think there's a lot of ways to give back in your community. And I think that was what I had found. The thing that really keeps me there, and it's selfish, is there's no adrenaline rush like it. You can't buy that. I mean, getting on the truck and going to a working fire and calling out your jobs and talking about what we're going to do when we get there, or sizing up, or listening to the radio. There is no rush like that.
Nothing like
and that's
what
that's what keeps me there.
And that's what keeps you there. So, talking about rushes, talking about that. 20, how many years?
21
and change. I know you got some stories.
Yeah, no.
So talk to me. Give me a good story.
So as we spoke about before, I listened to the show, and I've followed along with guys, and I don't know, the thing that I thought about when I first heard this question is, for me, my best memories are getting a ride with my brother. I mean, that's what keeps me in the department. That's another thing that keeps me there is that my brother's the chief in front of me. So he's not the baby chief, but the middle chief.
Yep.
And,
okay, so wait, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
We didn't talk about your brother. So
we did not talk about my brother.
You joined before him.
I did. I'm 4 years older.
So you joined. And
people don't think that. People may be shocked to hear that I'm actually the older brother, but I'm 4 years older.
What's your brother's name?
Mike.
Mike. What's going on, Mike? All right. So Mike is 4 years younger.
Yep.
So 14 to 18, you're in juniors. He starts when you're basically coming into Carle Place, and then he hops in when he turns 18.
Yep.
So now you all are both in together. Are you living in the house? Are y'all both going out, responding at the same time out of the same house?
Yeah.
I can imagine what that is. Dad, I don't know how you dealt with that, tearing out of the house at 2 a.m, 2 guys running. But I got to ask the question. When you guys were going out the house, whatever time together, who got to the rig first? Like who?
So
I
wonder
what Mike will say, but we're gonna see what Willie says.
A long time ago, Carle Place ran differently. Okay. We manned our own radio room. So Firecom didn't dispatch for us. Firecom would tone us out with a call, and the first person that would get to the firehouse would be the dispatcher.
Okay.
So it wasn't a race to get to the firehouse first. It was a race to get to the firehouse second. Because if you were first, you got stuck in the radio room.
You got stuck there. Wow.
So,
see, I would have never. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for us, luckily, our side door, you could see the back parking lot of the firehouse. So we would sit in the back door until the first person came in, and we run across the street.
Then y'all both run out and go out.
And then it was pretty even because we were both at the door waiting to go. And as soon as somebody would pull in, we'd run across the street. He's a little faster than I am.
Heard that? We might have to get a foot race going, Mike. But anyway, back to a good story.
So I don't know. I always tell, one of my favorite stories is we had a fire in Westbury on a St. Patrick's Day. And I had made plans, I think I was the lieutenant at the time, the baby lieutenant, but I had made plans with the captain that we were going to go out for St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
And I had class here at the law school in the morning, and I want to say it was like 11, 12 o'clock-ish. And I come back in the firehouse, and we were ready to go out. And the captain says to me, he's like, "We're going." I was like, "Yeah, I know we're going. It's St. Patrick's Day. Like, I'm ready to go." Yeah. He's like, "No, we're going to Westbury. They got a house fire. We're going." So I was like, okay. So we put on our gear. And I don't remember the order when we got there, but we sent an engine, and it was a well-involved fire, and we had worked to push a line in the front door, and then there was a floor collapse, so we pulled out. And then they wanted us to go upstairs, and we started working our way up the stairs, and the stairs were a little soggy, so they pulled us back out. And we had worked, I want to say we were there for a couple hours. I mean, it was a snotty, bad fire.
One of those. Okay.
And I remember that we were at some point we get to the second floor, and we were throwing hooks to look for pockets of fire in the ceiling. And I remember putting the hook up and pulling and getting a little fire, and then, because at some point I guess they'd asked us to pick up hooks instead of line. And we were working up there for a while, and I kept on saying to the captain, "Hey, Cap, I got to go down and take a breath." And he just kept on saying to me, "Send up a real man if you're done, send up a real man." And I was like, "All right, no, I'm good." Good. So we go to another room, and I'm pulling a little bit more. And he says to me, I'm like, "Hey, Cap, I'm done." He's like, "All right, when you go down, make sure you get a real man and send him up." I was like, I gotta. So I think we were in our third room pulling, and finally I'm like, "You know what? I don't care what you're gonna say to me this time. I'm out."
I'm out.
He's like, "All right, me too." And we went back downstairs. But for me, that story, what I love about it is firefighting's a hard, dirty job, regardless of yep. As volunteers, whatever your real job is, you could be a banker, a teacher, you could wear a suit and tie to work every day. When you're on the fire ground, it's a dirty, hard job.
That's it. That's right. No matter what, no matter what you do, as soon as you get done. And I think that's the beauty of, especially in the volunteer services, you can go to a call 2, 3 in the morning, stay there until 6, 7, 8, and then head to work. And you're at work doing whatever you do as if you just weren't in a blaze.
Yeah. I mean, and
you took a shower, but you're still like, I still smell it a little bit on my hands.
So we did a little recruitment stuff, and I said the same thing. I was interviewed for a small piece, and I said the same thing. I think that a day or two before that, we got called to a fire. I got home, I took a shower, I made my kids lunch so that they could get to school. I dropped them off, and then I went to work. I mean, that is
just
the life
the way it goes.
That,
it's just like it didn't matter what just happened, and people hear the story, and it's like, wow, you were in there, like, yeah, but now I'm here, and I got to do this, so that's over with. We'll talk. We'll critique that on Sunday. I'm not even going to worry about that right now. All right, so typical day in Carle Place, like you said, it's different from other departments because you're just one department, right? So a typical day as second assistant chief.
Okay, so we don't.
And you can give me a Sunday. You can give me whatever.
So I was going to say we're a little different than everybody else. I know that a lot of people train on Sunday. That is the day of the volunteer fire service.
Yes.
We have a lot of guys now that work either PD or FD or FDNY EMS. So it's hard to find a day that works. So we kind of rotate so that we kind of get a little bit of everybody on a different day. Because we've tried to do the survey to find out what days guys want trainings on, and it's always, well, it depends on what my schedule is. So we have every other week we do a cleanup at the firehouse, and we go over the rigs and we check all the saws and all that. So normally after that, because that's kind of built into our schedule, we'll train after that. So we'll go down, we do our rig checks, we go over all the packs and the saws, and we check to make sure that the radios, make sure everything's working. And then we'll train after that. And we'll, we don't have a training facility, so we'll either go to like the parking garage at the mall and we'll stretch upstairs, or we'll go to the school, or we'll crawl around the basement of the firehouse. If we're lucky, we'll obtain some like houses that people are doing remodeling in, so we can get in there.
Get in there.
And that's kind of what we do. As a chief now, it's a lot more paperwork. I do a lot of the paperwork side of the fire department.
Okay. And you don't have to go into too much detail, but for the people that don't know, what is the paperwork side of the
so this is the
fire department? Because
I feel
a lot of people
I feel like
don't
this is my life. I do a lot of the paperwork. There is
assistant chief.
Yes,
they're gonna push everything.
Yeah. So
and I know. Shout out Mike. I know Mike is pushing it right to you.
Yeah,
Mike's like, buddy, you're the older brother.
Yeah, no, it's odd how that works out. So as the second assistant chief, I'm in charge of like the recruitment and retention. So it's doing the paperwork to get new guys in, doing their background checks, making sure that I'm getting them set up with their physicals, meeting with them, talking about what the commitment is to the fire department. We don't have a dispatcher, so after every one, we have to do what's called a knifers report, and that summarizes what happened at the fire.
Yeah. Okay.
But because we don't have a dispatcher, the chief's office has to take care of it. So it's doing the narrative essentially of the call, who responded, which trucks went out, what type of structure it was, and we have to do that whether it's a fire or whether it's an automatic alarm. Like so I have to sit down and do a lot of that stuff. It's training, tracking, doing all the tracking for, the required trainings that we require for OSHA or for PESH, and making sure that we have binders of all that stuff. I mean, it's not glamorous stuff, but it is
something that is needed.
It is the stuff that's
something that
needed
has
to get done
for the department to run.
Yes.
You have to have those things.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we don't think about, right? Because as that typical, firefighter, you go to the job 6 a.m. and then you leave, that there's a lot more stuff that has to be done. You were actually at the call with us. You did everything with us, but now there's a whole nother piece that the chief has to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Heavy as the head.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it's not like I said, it's not the glamorous part of the job. It's not the fun part of the job. I don't love sitting there doing paperwork all the time, but that's the requirement of the job.
That's what it is. So again, it's a department, so you don't have companies. So that means the training is intense for your team.
Yeah.
When they go in, they're learning everything. They're learning truck work, engine work, rescue, everything. They're learning from beginning to end, everything. You said right now you have a bunch of probies, right?
We do. We have 18, I want to say, is the number right now.
That's a lot. Well, can we get some?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been dying for this. We've been dying for a group like that.
That's
so
good. So you have a lot. So again, the training is very intense because they have to learn everything. So when you get on the rig, how do you assign? Is it the captain of whoever of that rig assigns it, or do you wait till you get to the chief?
So we talk a lot about how we do rig assignment at our trainings, because I think that we may be a little different than other people. I know some departments use riding seats. So when you sit in this seat, you're the nozzle man. If you sit in this seat, you're the backup man. The way that we do it is a little different. The guys in the back talk up what they're going to do, and we talk about how guys should be picking jobs at training. So the way that we always view it is that, you want to pair up a senior guy with a junior guy. You don't want 2 junior guys taking the can and the irons and then having 2 senior guys take a line.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're balancing resources so that you have strength with inexperience. And that's kind of how we do it. The officer of the rig will say, hey, do we have assignments? And if they're not talking in the back, then they'll start talking and figuring out who's going to do what. And that's kind of how we run. As a department and running as a department, when we get our first engine there, we're trying to accomplish a little bit of truck work at the same time as we're trying to accomplish a little bit of engine work. So,
so
some guys are going to split. If we have the manpower to do it, we're going to split, and we're going to let some guys go and search, and then some guys are going to get the line established, and that's how we operate. It's a little different than probably other people. Bigger departments like a Freeport, right? They know that when their engine is there, they're going to have a truck right behind it, and that all you have to do is get on and stretch line, or all you do is have to get off the truck with your hand tools and get ready to work. And we're just a little different.
Yeah, it's different, but it's almost like I know that people will say something if I say this, but it's almost like the elite. It's like you have to know everything. And I'll be honest, like I'm an engine guy. So that's all I know. Do I know truck work? Of course. I was a captain. You have to learn certain things, but my bread and butter is engine work. So, but when you're in a place like Carle Place or in South Hempstead, like Eric, you have to learn. You don't know what you're going to be. When I get to that call, or I get to when I get to the firehouse, I could pull up and I'm a truckie today.
Yeah.
Or I'm that,
I like it because it's different. You get to do different things on different calls. I also think that it helps to build an understanding of, why is it so important to move hose line if you're a truck guy? Like truck guys never want to put down their tools and move hose. But if you're the guy on the engine and you've been the guy on the engine, and you're now the guy with the truck tools in your hand, you understand why it's important to put down your hook for a minute and just pump a little bit.
Throw that up on the wall. Let me at least help them, give them a thing, and now they fully understand. I love that. That's a great point that people don't really think about. You get to see both sides.
Yeah.
So then you end up working in tandem all the time because wow, I could be that guy.
I could be the guy that's wrestling. Yeah, the more line guy.
Wrestle that.
Yeah.
All right. So really quick, got a question.
Sure.
What is a common myth that you want to debunk right now about firefighting or volunteer service? Any common myth that you want to debunk that you hear?
So I think that one of the things, if you watch like the Citizen app or you see YouTube videos of people that are in the community that are videotaping an incident happening, people think that things happen immediately. And I think that people don't understand that there's processes in the way that we do things, right? Like, yes, there may be a house fire, but the first thing that happens is the chief shows up. He shows up with, if I keep a can in my car, so I show up with 2.5 gallons of water. If your entire kitchen is on fire, my 2.5 gallons isn't going to do much.
Do nothing.
So I have to go and I'm going to do my size up and I'm going to figure out where I want my resources to go and if I need more resources. And then the engine will show up, right? And they have to secure a water source. And they have to stretch line. And then they have to figure out where inside the house the fire is. If it's not apparent, it could be in the knee walls. It could be in the attic space. So you could have a lot of smoke outside, but not have any fire showing where it's not so easy. Like, it's blown out the window. That's where I need to go. Yeah. So things take time on the fire ground. I think people just expect that as soon as somebody shows up, the problem is over. And
it's not.
Look, I'm not saying that we don't move with expediency. I'm not saying that we're not, doing everything we can to cut seconds off, whether it's the way that we mask up. The way that we masked up has changed over the years from when you would put your gloves under your knee and then now it's all this, you would do it with your gloves, you put your helmet on your arm, you put your mask on, everything is, way faster. So I'm not saying that seconds don't count. I think that people expect this magic bullet that comes in. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's over and it's not. And that's not what it is.
I mean, it's a good thing we're here because we're going to
make things better. Things are going to get better now. Yeah.
When we get here, but it's just not just like that. And I guess for a person that's watching their home on fire, they're like, what's
happening? What's happening?
But understand that these things do take time. That is so true. So, quick question, family life, right?
Sure.
Married,
2 kids.
Married, 2 kids. So, how does your wife feel about you being? Because I'm pretty sure. How long you been married?
We've been married 2012, so it'll be
don't
12
get yourself
years.
In trouble on
12
the
years.
show.
12 years.
12 years. So 12 years that you've been married. So you were already in because you said 20 something years.
Yeah.
Right?
So I met my wife when I was a sophomore in college.
Okay.
So the fire department existed almost before her. So when we first started dating, we would, we had other friends that had girlfriends in the firehouse, some of which we still hang out with today. Okay. But she grew up with the fire department the way that I grew up with the fire department. Okay. And I think that, I'm not saying it's not easy. It wasn't easy when our kids were young and I would be like, hey, I'm out of here.
And
she'd be
Christmas.
Like, where are you going? But I think that she knows that it's my passion and that I love doing it. And she knows that I'm helping. And I think that, I think that she's accepted it. I don't know that. I'm not sure that she loves it. I don't think she'll ever love it.
I mean, I can imagine now as second assistant chief, she's just like, but I know that's a conversation you had with her. And
yeah.
You're like, I want to move to the next step. And she understands it.
When I was in office, when I became an officer the second time, it happened at a meeting and nobody knew that one of the officers was stepping down. So the way that it works is in our department, if an officer steps down, everybody moves up because we don't have like companies where that becomes an issue. Yeah. Everybody moves up and we elect the bottom spot.
Okay.
So the captain from that story looked at me and said, he's now a chief. And he's like, it's you. You're back. And I was like, really? And he's like, you're back. Because at this time, I was a little bit more settled in my life. I had bought my house in town. I was settled. I think I'd started my new job. And he's like, it's you. And I was like, okay. And before I knew it had happened, and I was, putting my helmet together and putting my gear together. And when I went home, it was an awkward conversation with my wife because I was like, hey, I'm back in office again.
I know she left like, wait,
yeah,
what?
she was like, what?
She left the house.
I think she was like, and I don't think I'd been to a meeting in a while. It was weird the way that it all came together. It was almost like it was supposed to happen.
Okay.
And she's just like, look, if that's what you want to do,
I love that.
Do it.
I love the support. What's your wife's name?
Kelly.
So thank you, Kelly, for lending him to Carle Place. Thank you. And not just Carle Place, to Long Island.
We run. I'll
because
tell you,
they're all over the place.
I was having a conversation today when I first joined, because we're a small department, our reputation wasn't one of these bigger departments.
Okay.
So when I first got in, we didn't do a lot of mutual aid work. And over the years and meeting and making friends and now that the fire service is way more reliant on mutual aid, we get around as a small department. Okay. We really get around. Like we run.
Kelly, thank you. That's one thing that I want to do too, start having shows where wives come down, right? Because we want to get their perspective of all of it, right? Because they got to deal with us running out the house, and they got to deal with the stories you come home with. Like, what this guy did. They got to deal with that. They got to deal with all the installation dinners. And as a chief, I know you're not just going to Carle Place. You got to go to this installation dinner.
That's not her favorite thing either. She would rather like a real nice dinner, not an installation dinner.
This is not a date night. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say, Willie. This is not a date night.
No, that's what she says.
But it's a nice place. We're in Stewart Manor right now. It's beautiful.
Look, I get that. I get all that.
She's not trying to hear it. All right. So, Willie, are you ready for the Flashover? This is a game that we play.
Yeah.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get this going for our listeners. We play a game called the Flashover. So we're going to ask our guests something like Android or Apple, and they have to give us a quick answer. We're going to do TV shows and movies. So first, before we start, Willie, what is a Flashover?
So Flashover is a condition where everything in the room is superheated and it spontaneously combusts at the same time.
There you go. And it's very, very quick. So now, just so you know, I've asked this question a couple of times, what is a Flashover? And some people give me backdraft. I don't know if you've seen the show.
No.
People explain it, and then they go back and say, wait. No, I'm wrong. And I don't know if it's just because in the volunteer services, everyone on Instagram was like, no, he's explaining a backdraft. Like, okay.
Yeah, we're our own worst enemies sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we're our own worst enemies. All right, so let's get into the Flashover. Willie, are you ready for the Flashover?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. We have Chicago Fire, Rescue Me.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me, Third Watch.
Rescue Me.
Oh, there we go. I love Rescue Me too. Backdraft, Ladder 49.
Backdraft.
Definitely. I saw you thinking about it.
Yeah, I think backdraft.
Backdraft?
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to that. And then the most important question, which is a great question for departments like you, engine or truck?
Engine.
Engine. Okay, we got a butt. We got a butt, people.
So we are an engine first department. That's the way that we train. It's when people say to me, "Hey, we're going to put you on our plan. What should we call you?" An engine. We are a great engine department. However, we recently just took delivery of a new tower ladder. It replaced a 77-foot stick. We now have an 85-foot mid-mount platform, and it's making me. It's the dark side sucking me in a little bit.
It's bringing you in a little bit. So engine, but you're starting to move over to the truck.
So we took delivery of the truck. I want to say like a month ago, and the second day. It's a Marion. So okay. It's got a Schmiel ladder on it. It's a Marion. Lovely people there. We went to Wisconsin to build it. Had a large part, and me and my brother both had a large part in building it.
Which I want you to continue that, but I just want the listeners to know when he says building it, it's not physically doing it, but literally laying the plans out. So these are things that people don't realize, that firefighters, chiefs, when you're in these departments, you literally lay the plans out for the rig of what you want, how you want it, and work through it all. So
and it's not like you go to the car to like a car dealership and you say like, hey, I want this one. I want this one. You know, they ask you questions like, what did you want on the door handle? What type of lights do you want? How many lights? Where do you want the lights? Which, you know, the amount of decisions that go into building a piece of fire apparatus is insane.
Something that's going to possibly, you know, be there for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we run rigs for 30, we try 20 to 30 years. So like this piece is going to outlive probably my career in the department at this point.
And that's what people don't realize. So there is a lot that goes into that. It also is a trip to Wisconsin, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, Wisconsin in winter wasn't the
wasn't the best.
It wasn't the best, but so
back to truck.
So we took delivery of the truck, and I don't think we had a call the entire next day. So we put it in service on a Tuesday night. Wednesday, no call, so the truck doesn't leave, and we're just itching for it to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. So on Thursday morning, we get an automatic alarm, and one of the lieutenants had the duty car, which means that they get to first respond and they go and they investigate. And I said, I don't care. We're taking the truck out. And he goes, it's food on the stove. I said, I'm taking the truck out. So we get the truck there. Okay. So get the truck back in the firehouse. Garden City tones out with the report of a house fire. And in that zone, we are the fast team. So the ladder truck is now set up as our fast truck. Okay. So at this point, because we just had a call, we got a bunch of guys in the firehouse. And I was like, guys, what are we doing? Let's get dressed. Let's go. Let's start going. And we'll start taking a slow ride that way. And as we were pulling the truck on the apron, tones go off for the fast team assignment. So I got to drive it down there. I was one of the chauffeurs that was down there, so I drove it down there, and I'm coming down Clinton, and it was right off Clinton, and I like turn onto the block, and I could see the cloud of smoke coming across the street, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna try and figure out where I'm gonna put this, but I'm gonna keep it. We're the fast team, so yeah. As I'm pulling down the block, I realize there's no truck. We're the first truck on scene, so now I'm like, oh man, I gotta not only do we have this one assignment to do, like I got to get this truck in position, and it's the first time that we're working it. I mean, we had trained on it, but it was the first time in a real fire scenario different. That was it was a lot of fun. It was awesome, and it's turning me a little bit.
Did it do what it was supposed to do?
It did exactly what it was supposed to do, and it worked great, and we were really happy with it. It was a good day. That was a really good day.
I'm glad to hear that. There we go. All right. So got another question for you. Before we end, I always like to ask, like, if there was a piece of advice that you could give someone that's listening, that's thinking about joining, or one of your 18 probies that's probably going to listen to the chief on this, what advice would you give them?
So for the guys that are in, my advice is the same advice that I give my kids in life. Nothing replaces hard work. When you come down to the fire department, be engaged, learn the trucks, ask questions, find the guys that you trust. There are guys that are intimidating at the firehouse. Find the guys that are a little softer and ask them the questions that you don't want to get yelled at for. I think that you got to put in the time, though. You're learning something entirely new. It is a brand new aspect of life, and I think that you need to put in the hard work to get there. For the people that are thinking about joining, I would say, when I talk to people in town and some of the dads are like, oh, it's really cool. You get to leave the house all the time. And I was like, yeah, come down and do it. And like, they were like, well, what does it take? And it takes a lot of work. And the answer I always get is I don't have the time. And there's never a good time to join the volunteer fire department, right? Either you have a newborn at home, or you started a new job, or you have your parents are getting old. There's never a good time. And if you're waiting for the right time, you'll never find the time. But if you come down and you and you try and make the time, you will find that you have more time than you really think.
There we go. You heard it here from Chief Willie. If you're looking for the right time to start, the right time is now. Right now. Just come on down.
Yeah.
Come on down. You go to any fire department on any day. Someone will be there. You'll see someone there.
Yeah.
Knock on the door and tell them, hey, I'm thinking about joining. They will welcome you with open arms. I promise you they will welcome you.
Yeah, we're always looking. And like you said, there's somebody always at the firehouse. Come down, there's the Nassau Bravest website now that the county's running. You can go on there, you put in your address, it'll tell you which district you're in, so you end up at the right place. And I think that now is as good a time as any to come down.
I love to hear that. Chief, thank you so much for coming down. Is there anything that I'm forgetting that you wanna speak about before we go?
No. You did ask one question of other people about the movies, like what's the difference?
Let's talk about that.
So a lot of people say, it's not, you can't see in a fire, which is the easiest answer, right? And that's all Hollywood, so you could see movie stars' faces
straight through like this.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say is that, the fire service isn't always, responding to train derailments or building fires. It's not a building fire every day. We've done those things in Carle Place. Yep. Like we've responded to train derailments. We go to building fires, all those things. Some of the fire department life is just, chasing down automatic alarms. We have in Carle Place, we have a lot of commercial property. We do our best through our fire inspectors to cut down on those alarms, but automatic alarms are a part of life. We also have we have EMTs and we run an ambulance. So a lot of it is running signal 9s. So
it's not the glam and the
glitz. It's not all glam and glitz. It's not always house fires and the excitement after when you guys are getting back in the rig talking about the things you did. Some of it is just mundane, everyday, routine alarms.
And even with that though, you still are creating that brotherhood, that relationship. Sure. So even though you're just going on that and it's not glitz and glamour all the time, you're still on the rig with your brother. Yeah. Learning, talking with them.
Being in the fire department, I think, is the best part of having a family, a team, best friends. Yep. It's all of those things. And for people that were athletes in either high school or college, a lot of those people feel like they're missing something because they don't have a place where they can go and be part of a team. The we is greater than the me. And the fire department provides that. And I think that, I always try and talk to the kids of the high school that are athletes and say, like, look, man, you were an athlete in high school. You played football, you played lacrosse, whatever. You're going to miss that. And this is a great place to get that.
That's right.
So I don't know.
It's almost like I always say, like in college, I wasn't in a fraternity. It's like, this is my fraternity. This is my fraternity. And this goes anywhere. I can be anywhere. I can be in Disney World and I see someone with a fire department shirt on, everyone's looking to see. I'm like, what does that say on there? What department is that?
So I'm taking the kids, me and my wife are taking the kids to Disney. So we go on Sunday, but I'm sure that on one of the days I will see somebody wearing a Long Island Volunteer Fire Department shirt.
You're looking at the hydrants like, oh, it's a wet one. It's not a dry one. Oh, it's wet out here. It makes sense. It's Florida, So it literally becomes a part of your life.
Yeah.
So anyone thinking about joining, like we said, you said, what was the website? It's
Nassau's Bravest. Nassau's Bravest, I think.
Nassau's Bravest. You go on there and go on Google and just type in Nassau Bravest. It'll come up and it'll tell you what department. But if you do know the firehouse down your block, just literally go over there, knock on the door. All right?
They'll be happy to hear from you.
Listen, Chief, again, thank you so much for coming down. All right? I hope you guys enjoyed that. We just heard from Second Assistant Chief Willie Geddish. I said it right. About his life as a firefighter. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. I am your host, Chris Moses, and please tune in next week for another great conversation in the Firehouse.